Welcome to Buckets. This is Action Network's WNBA betting podcast presented by BetMGM. And this is our best bets episode for Tuesday, June 4th. We have a nice 3-game slate. I'm your host, Maria Marino, joined once again by Dano Mattia. Dano, saw you at Barclays Center just a day ago. Liberty got back on track. How you feeling?
Oh, excellent. Excellent. The vibes are back. Stewie didn't even play great, but, put up 100 points with her only scoring 14. That's great. I'm back in.
Yeah. He's back in. All right, well, the Liberty do play on Tuesday, so that is one of the games that we are going to talk about. But before we hit on each game, why don't you just come right out with your best bets?
Absolutely. I guess we'll start in order. So, Sun taking on the Mystics tomorrow. The Mystics will be without Shakira Austin, so no choice but to take the undefeated Connecticut Sun minus 12.5 going against the defeated, winless Washington Mystics. It's crazy. 8-0 versus 0-8. Next, best play. I'm riding the wave. I think the Liberty are back on track. New York Liberty minus 6.5. Cannot wait to talk about that game in a little bit. And then finally, I am taking a dog.
Yes.
Taking the Phoenix Mercury against the Seattle Storm. I think it's plus 8.5 now, or plus 7.5 at MGM at least. Like both numbers, and excited to talk about that one as well.
All right, so a couple favorites and a dog. Let's keep going in order, and we'll circle back to Mystics at Sun. So, I mean, you mentioned it. One team's unbeaten, 8-0. How about them, Connecticut Sun? They are only 3-5 against the spread. They just beat the Dream 69-50. So the Dream come back down to earth after the remarkable win over the Aces. Steph White, coach of the month. How could you not have her coach of the month? And then Alyssa Thomas, also Eastern Conference player of the month. And you mentioned sort of this opposite trajectory. So the Mystics have not won a game. They're 4-3-1 against the spread. Last played Friday night, lost, but did cover against New York. That was a lean that I had before Friday's episode. I didn't actually bet it, full disclosure, but I was like, I lean Mystics here to cover. They did. They've been competitive, but you mentioned Shakira Austin being out with the hip injury. Brittany Sykes is still out as well. And these two teams did meet back on May 17th. Sun handled Washington 84-77, and that was the night that Sykes sprained her ankle. What else would you like to add here?
Yeah, I mean, the Sun did not cover that spread as well. So the big thing for me is Brianna Jones getting minutes. I think she's huge for what this team does. Outside of her year with the injury, she has been like top 5 in win shares in the WNBA, which is huge. It's probably what most media voters use in terms of MVP voting, but she's never in the MVP conversation. But the defense, absolutely incredible. Holding Atlanta to 50 points. I think one player in double digits. That's special. And I respect them. I do. I don't think they've played anybody, but I think this is a big tune-up game to get ready for the big matchup against the New York Liberty this coming weekend. I'm not worried about a look-ahead type of spot. And I think the Mystics, I mean, I don't think anyone was taking the Liberty at minus 15 that one night. So Mystics have some good things, but it's gonna be tough sledding. You're gonna need the guards to make a lot of shots like they did against New York, and I just don't see that happening. I think the total's at 155. I know it's low, but I don't see this one going over either. I think there is only one Commissioner Cup game so far that went over. I know we've only had 4, but still.
I'm glad you brought up sort of who the Sun have faced, because I think I actually asked you when I saw you in person in Brooklyn. I was like, are the Sun for real? Like, what's going on?
And I said no.
You said no.
I'm a
Now
hater.
here's the caveat though. I mean, they have taken care of who they need to take care of. They have not, to your point, played the Liberty yet or the Aces yet. Beat the Lynx by 1 point in overtime. Beat the Wings by 2 points. So I mean, they are very good at finishing close games, which I find impressive. But yeah, I think that first litmus test on Sunday against the Liberty, excuse me, this coming Saturday, that's going to be really interesting. But look, credit where it's due. Like I said, they have beaten who they should beat. They have won every game on their schedule, and I do. How about this? Do you think they're better than they were last year,
I
or is
mean,
it too soon to tell?
I think it's too soon to tell. I think Alyssa
Okay.
Thomas is about the same. She should have won MVP last year. She's playing at an MVP level. Bonner is probably still not hitting her stride shooting wise, but she's still putting up 20 points a game. So I mean, they should be better in theory. They have so much
I think
continuity. A lot of players played
I'm
together for
now
a long time.
sorry to like jump back in, but I'm now like answering my own question in my head as you're talking because I do think who you mentioned, Bree Jones, I feel like she could be a difference maker once she's. I don't know if you would call her 100% right now. I think she's healthy. But I feel like she can even still get to another level. All right,
Mm-hmm.
so you like the Sun minus 12 and a half. Let's move on to the Liberty, and you like them minus 6.5 at Chicago. Let me just set the stage
Yeah.
as I like to do. Libs are 7-2 straight up, 2-7 against the spread. Only covers against Indiana. They really, really like to beat up on Indiana. The Sky, meanwhile, 3-4 straight up, 4-3 against the spread. In general, I've been pleased with how competitive they've been. I think that they're a team that could potentially make a playoff push, but we'll see how some of these other, how some of the stronger teams at the top continue to develop. Now, revenge game perhaps loading for the Liberty. The Sky beat them. I know you remember this well. You were distraught. We recorded a pod that night, 90-81 on May 23rd. And to sort of sum up the game script a little bit, Marina Mabrey had 21 points, 7 assists, 6 boards. Sab had 19, Stewie a double-double. JJ struggled in this game. 8 points in 21 minutes. If I'm not mistaken, she was in some foul trouble, didn't quite get into a rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
Here's another wrinkle. Camila Cardoso did not play, and she was phenomenal in her debut on Saturday. 11 points, 5 of 7 from the field, and 6 rebounds in 18 minutes. Did have some foul trouble herself, had 5 fouls. So I am kind of curious. I think Camilla is great, and I am kind of curious how that affects JJ. And we haven't even gotten into. There's a lot swirling around this game. I think with Chicago coming off the 1-point loss against the Fever, as well as the drama with the Kennedy Carter incident, the hard foul on Caitlin Clark, which was later ruled a flagrant. Teresa Weatherspoon actually put out a statement on Monday, just basically saying this is not who we are. I've spoken to Kennedy about it, but there's a lot surrounding the W in the past few days besides just what's transpiring, between those lines. So yeah, there's just there's a lot to take in with this game.
Yeah. I'm so excited. I can't wait. I love when the Libs take things personally, and I think they'll take this game personally. Angel talks a lot. She talks so much. She really got in JJ's head in that first game. Got a couple cheap fouls on her, and I think Jonquel knows how good she can be and needs to make this game a statement. And we've seen the Libs go into Chicago and win by 1 before, and we've seen them like blow them out from the start. So I'm hoping it's the latter, and
Yeah.
I still think Marina Mabrey's gonna have a big game. I feel like I'm never gonna bet an under with Marina Mabrey,
Yeah.
but also Stewie's still due for a big game. So we're I don't know what the ceiling is for this Liberty team. Obviously, I think it's a championship, but I don't think they played their best ball yet. And it's time to cover against somebody other than the Fever.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, Cardoso brings a special element. I forget that she's going to be playing her second game ever, and she scares me. She's a great player. I'm excited to see her develop. I think her offense is like so far ahead of her counterpart, Angel Reese. No respect to Angel, I just don't think she was developed that much on that end of the floor. I think she's a great rebounder, just can't finish. So,
Mhm.
yeah, um, still confident. Livs get it done. They should win by 10.
I could see it, and I think it comes down to exactly what you said about Jonquel Jones. I think she needs to take this personally. I think she will,
Yep.
because she understands that she's got to set the tone. She's got to establish herself in the paint, and if she does that, there's not a lot that can stop the Liberty. My only question long term is still that backcourt defense. That's just how I
Mm-hmm.
see it. And when I look at the guards on the Aces, like Kelsey Plum, Jackie Young, they're so fast, so athletic. It's just that's really hard to stop for like a Sabrina Ionescu or Courtney Vandersloot. But we still have a ways to go here, and also the Aces have looked human as well. But that's a side note. I agree with you. I expect the Liberty to take this personally, and also I know it was the Fever and they were on the second night of a back to back, but I mean, the Liberty looked freaking flawless on Sunday. I mean, they were just I there was maybe one moment, there was one brief moment early in the third quarter
Like a
where
3 minute stretch. Yeah.
yeah, I think it was
And
I
then they go
think
on
it
a
was
19-0
early.
run.
Yeah, was it early in the third, Dano, or late in the second? There was a
Yes.
stretch where, like you said, the Fever kind of started to get going. Sandy Brondello took a timeout, and that was that. They came back in off the timeout and just smooth sailing from there. So I do think
Yeah.
that's a sign. And Sloot, appears healthy. She missed the last game. Like they're flowing. So I like this.
Yeah.
Now let's.
And getting good things from Kayla Thornton too, which I think is going to be really key in uh, in all their games going forward, but especially like someone that can defend bigs and guards.
Very good point. She is definitely one that can help defensively on that perimeter. Let's move on to the final game on Tuesday. We have the Mercury at the Storm. Storm favored by 8.5. Seattle 5-3 straight up and against the spread. Haven't played since Thursday when they beat Indiana, and that was pretty much a blowout. And so they're decently rested, but Phoenix 4-5 straight up, 5-4 against the spread. Last time out, beat the Sparks 87-68. Was trying to find the latest on Beck Allen. I assume she will still be out. She was questionable on Sunday, so she's maybe a little bit of a question mark with the concussion as we're recording this on Monday evening. Still haven't gotten official word. But why do you like the Merc here?
Well, I will say last time we recorded, we took the Merc a day early. They went 1 for 27 from 3, so let's hope that doesn't happen again.
They
I think for
couldn't
me,
possibly hold on. They couldn't possibly shoot as poorly as they did the other day at Connecticut. I mean, I know I might have been on the wrong side on that one, but that was that was inexplicable how poorly they played in Connecticut. It was like they forgot how to play basketball. But I don't think we can see that again twice in the same
yes.
season.
For me, it's a few things. One, I don't think Seattle has played up to a team. I'd say they've done well against teams that are significantly worse than them, a la Mystics, Fever, who they almost lost to at home. I don't
True.
believe they covered a spread at home so far. I could be wrong here, but I think they lost outright to the Lynx. They only won by 2 against the Fever. I think this is their third home game. Oh no, they covered against Washington, Indiana. They haven't covered against a team that is, to my main point, reputable. And then
Sure.
the Mercury got some dogs like Kalia Copper, Natasha Cloud, and I mean Diana dropped 31 last night. Ageless Wonder, right? So they're not going to roll over for anybody. Um, I think NECA has potential to have a huge game. So does Ezzy, just with the edge they can get on the inside.
Right.
But Mercury can win this game if they hit their shots and they get out and run. That's really the key for this offense. They are shooting more threes than anybody, and I like Cloud to slow down Jewel Lloyd. I like I'd say my chances with Copper against Scott. I don't think anyone can like directly stop her. And Nate runs good stuff. I'm excited for this matchup. I think 8 points is way too many. And I mean, I could be wrong, but I'm taking the road dog here, and I'll probably sprinkle on the money line just because I'm feeling the Merc today.
Wow.
Yeah,
Look at you.
look at me.
I mean,
You
like I
know, when they
said,
win, I'm gonna send you a Kalia Copper jersey.
no,
We
stop. You don't have to
yes,
do that.
yeah, no, I'm calling my shot. We're gonna send you one because you know, we support players who get in each other's faces and end up becoming teammates. So whenever Candy Carter ends up on the Indiana Fever in a couple of years, we'll think back on that moment.
Oh my gosh, could you
Shout out
imagine?
Sophie Cunningham. I
Oh
mean, they
wow,
were
that's
at
a
each other's
call.
throats. What, 2 years ago? Right? 2 years ago?
Yeah. So it was it's
Three.
2021. It was the
Yeah.
year. Didn't
Sky and
Candace and
Sky and
Chicago win
Mercury.
in 21?
Yeah.
I believe
So
so.
3 years ago, Sky and Mercury.
Yeah, because the last two were aces. Indeed. Yeah, I have to say, we talked about it in the off season, but like didn't see that coming. But you know, I am really curious what this team is going to look like when we get Brittany Griner back, because it's just going to obviously add this whole other layer, another dimension for them. But in the meantime, they are riding, living and dying by those threes. But I do like what you said about, they do have dogs. Copper, Cloud, like that's why you bring those players in for that dog mentality. So look, I'll never turn down a jersey.
That's right.
So we
That's
are
right.
once again, we like the Mercury to cover as dogs against the Storm. So those are our three games we've gone through, but I do want to just have a little update, if you will, in terms of award conversations, because here on Monday we found out the Player of the Month awards as well as the Rookie of the Month, which is breaking news, Caitlin Clark. And I did want to just touch on this, Dano, because I think at a point in the last couple of weeks there was a thought, a question, and I feel like it was fair of like, okay, is Caitlin Clark going to be Rookie of the Month? Is there another rookie that could make a case to be? And I think there was a point where you could make a case for Angel Reese, considering what she's been doing on the glass.
Yeah.
I mean, she's seventh in rebounding overall. I couldn't double check this. I know she was first in offensive rebounding. I believe she still is at 5 per game. And also, the Sky won a few games, right? And to me, I think if you're on a team that's competing and winning, that should factor into these sort of things. However, this is my take on Caitlin. It's her usage. For me, that's kind of what's setting her apart. Shout out to our colleague Jim Turvey for helping me out with some research, but her usage is at 27.5%. That far and away leads all rookies. I think Jim set the model of, you have to have played at least 50 minutes in 5 games played. But yeah, she's also 7th in the league overall in usage. No other rookie in the top 20. I mean, we know, you can obviously look up her stats. We know she's filling the box score. She's had some turnovers. In fact, a lot of turnovers, but she is still being productive, and the Fever are counting on her. So that's kind of what set it apart for me. Tell me what you think, and if there's anybody else you feel like is even worth touching for for the overall award?
Uh, I'll answer the second question first, and that's no. Um,
Okay.
there's been a few rookies who like shown flashes. I mean, like Alyssa Peely the other night off the bench, 20 points in like 19 minutes, like
Mm-hmm.
7 for 9 from the field. That's great. She plays 2 minutes the next night. Cameron Brink goes off for 21 and 17 against the Fever and takes 6 shots in their game against the Mercury. Goes 3 for 6 with 6 points and 5 rebounds. Like they're just not being utilized. So the usage thing is huge. And for me with Angel Reese, it's just like offense, like scoring has gotta pick up. I
Mm-hmm.
think I looked right now. She shoots more than 9 2-pointers a game, and she would be the only player in WNBA history to shoot over 9 2-pointers a game and shoot less than 37% from two. It'd be the
Ooh.
worst of all time. So I mean, I hate to hate on a player, but I mean, I also do that a lot with everybody. But
Mm.
I know Caitlin's field goal percentages aren't great, but she's doing other things. She's finding players. She's still what I think she's top 5 in assists in the league behind
Fourth. Yep.
AT and
6.4 a game.
Sab. So I just think, and they've also had like the gauntlet of their schedule, so it should only get easier, and her stats
Theoretically,
should
yes.
get even better. Yeah, I mean, let's hope. Who knows with this team? I mean, I'm so
Yeah.
disappointed in them, but Rookie of the Year will be
Yeah.
like a nice consolation prize, I guess.
Look, I mean, I don't know how many of the games that you could have circled in this early stretch as wins, right? Going in. I'm annoyed in the sense that I think they should have beaten the Sparks a second time. And I think they had the game within reach
Mm-hmm.
and, were super sloppy. But really, every other game, I mean, there's a couple close ones, that you
Storm,
mentioned the tight one with Seattle for sure. But
Sun.
going into the season though, Dano, don't you think wouldn't you have looked at that game and thought that was probably going to be a Seattle win? Even I know it doesn't, like, it's not a consolation win. Like they have a chance. That would have been, to me, that would have been them stealing one, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Um,
no, for sure, for sure.
However, the schedule has just been it's been so tough. I mean, I felt so bad in New York just because you're seeing it all over their faces, their bodies, like they're just
Oh yeah,
exhausted. They don't know each other yet. But again, I've said before, optimistic that we'll get some more competitive games and some more wins as the schedule lightens up. But in general, I think what you said about Angel makes perfect sense. I mean, she is absolutely impacting the game. Her rebounding is undeniable. I mean, if she were able to convert some more of those putbacks, that would be unreal for the Sky. And Camila Cardoso, she is able to finish very well. I mean, this is going to be Lob City
yeah.
now in Chicago. So definitely excited for that. Okay, we're almost done here, but I do want to touch on MVP really quick. I mentioned Alyssa Thomas, Eastern Conference Player of the Month. No surprise. Asia Wilson, your Western Conference Player of the Month. And she is still the favorite to win the MVP season long award, minus 145 or so. I've said it before.
Oh
I like Alyssa Thomas. I like a sprinkle on that, at least at plus 700. And I also like Nafisa Collier at plus
yeah,
900. And I think the numbers kind of speak for themselves. And so far, the Lynx, in addition to the Sun, have been incredibly competitive. And once again, I think this comes into play down the stretch of the season. If you're at the top of the standings and you have the numbers that they are putting up, like, you're going to be in the MVP conversation. I think this is maybe a little more. I could see this being a little more of a race than the Rookie of the Year.
yeah, 100%. This is gonna be exhilarating, and I mean, you talk about being competitive. What Lynx have failed to cover one spread. It's absolutely amazing. By far the
Mm.
best of any team in the WNBA. So, and like we don't know how good they're going to be. Like I love like I feel like Dorka hasn't stopped playing. Dorka looks fantastic. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and all that it just helps be like she's the one player who has like there's no selfish players on that team. B somehow always gets hers every night in the most efficient way. That's probably my favorite for the value because I think Sun are going to lose a game at some point, specifically
Mm-hmm.
Saturday. Um,
Early look ahead.
but yeah, I've been texting Brendan Glasheen a lot already. Just gonna quote tweet everything he says with June 8th. But
Our
seriously,
action.
yeah, no, I love your points though. I think those two players have a lot of value. I think we're
Yeah.
not done seeing the Aces lose some games either. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it's doable. Shout out to Kate Martin for being the team high and plus minus in that loss against the Dream.
I mean, is there anything more fun than watching Kate Martin absolutely ball and knowing her role and excelling at it?
Know your role. That's big. That's big. We got to find a way to work her into every single pot.
Yeah, seriously. Well, listen, this has been a super fun episode as per usual. I want to thank all of our listeners for hanging with us this long. I just got word from our head of audio at Action Network, Matt Mitchell, that we've been killing it as far as downloads and listens and things like that. And as you know, Dano, this is our first season on our very own feed. So just a big thank you to everyone who has listened, who is liked, subscribed. I mean, if you haven't yet, always love a good review, a 5-star rating if you so choose, if you're enjoying this and, our perspective on the league and giving out bets twice weekly. So thanks again. And Dano, Mattia, always great to have you on the show. Appreciate your picks. Once again, I'm Maria Marino and we out. Let's get buckets.